This morning. I'm used to the missions conference yesterday, so I'm like, welcome back to the next session. But we haven't had one session yet tonight. We did last week, but not today. What I'm trying to say is y'all are on time, okay? So we are starting tonight. This is our next and final session of the Gen Cubed event, dealing with generosity, and we've got Freedom 501 Ministries and that are here going to walk us through the process tonight. So I'm just glad that you came back, and if this was your first, anybody here that wasn't here last week? Okay, good. That's just so you guys can know we've got some few first-timers, and so that'll be good. Do what? Oh, you weren't here last week. Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started with a word of prayer, and then I'll turn it over to Tim or whoever's going to be speaking tonight. Okay. All right. Let's pray. Father, thank you for the time together, and again, just every opportunity that we have to become more or better disciples of you. We want to appreciate those opportunities. And so, God be with Freedom 501 Ministries as they teach tonight and facilitate and do the things, Lord, that would draw us closer to you, and especially in the terms of the need for generosity in our lives and what you expect. Guide and direct and make us, while this is the final session, make it something, Lord, that we take and we use and we apply, and especially the practical principles tonight that we'll cover. So thank you for this time, and we turn it all over to you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, Brother Tim. Yeah.
That's why I get applause.
Let's give him an applause.
Hey, well, if you weren't here last time or didn't get a chance to take our survey, go ahead and click on that thing. Maybe you can see it from where you are with your phone. Go ahead and take that survey right quick. And did everybody get a piece of paper and crayons when you came in? If you didn't, raise your hand. T can bring you some crayons. If you don't like the colors, we'll kind of pass those around here in a little bit too. We're excited to be back here with you. Hey, so we've got a couple of book giveaways here. Got one for the men. If you really wanted to be home tonight watching football, raise your hand. And so if you really wanted to, and you have a team playing, okay, so here, why don't you come on up here? This is yours. Come on. Okay, so, and ladies, I'm sure some of y'all wanted to be watching the game as well. But we got a quiz for you. So, so ladies, this is for you. You can write this down if you want to, so we can kind of see there. Does it work? There you go. This particular player is on the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? And so who knows, you can raise your hand here if you want to, who knows who Taylor Swift is dating? Okay, there you go. So if you do, go ahead and stand up if you know who Taylor Swift is dating. There you go. So tell somebody next to you so we can see if you actually know. So tell somebody close to you. Okay, who is that? Is that right? Okay, good. All right, here we go. So everybody's still standing, good. So what team does he play for? Tell somebody. Got it? Who is it? Chiefs. There you go. Everybody got Chiefs? All right, what's his number? Tell your partner there. Well, then you're going to sit on down. I'm sorry, you don't get a book. Appreciate that. What? Do you know? Oh, no, cheat. You're the bachelor's wife. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. Do you know? All right, what's the number? 87. You didn't know? 87, there you go. Come on up here. Oh. Oh. That's 87 and 13. That's like 100. That's got to be. Oh, there you go. Let's see, we have the question here. There's okay. Which insurance company does he? There you go. Who's his quarterback? Who's the quarterback? Mahomes. See, I'm impressed. All right, well, there you go. That'll be the most recent book you read, so I hope you enjoy it. Hey, listen, tonight we're going to continue our thinking related to this concept of the generous steward, okay? And for those of you who were last week, we're going to review that. For those of you who are, this is your first week, that's okay. We're going to review that, and you'll catch up real quick. Tonight, we're really going to talk about kind of the practical pieces of this. But before we start talking about the numbers and how the numbers work, we're going to get creative for a second. So you should have, when you came in, you should have got a piece of paper and some crayons. And I'd like for you to create an original art piece that depicts your relationship with money, entitled Money and Me. Okay? Money and Me. T's going to be rolling around, bringing other colors now that we picked some for you. So if you need different colors, you got a few minutes to do that. Money and Me. Did you get any crayons? Do you want some? Okay, you have a few minutes, so go ahead and go for that. All right, who needs more time? A little more time? Here you go. Whatever you think about money, and not me, but money and you. Your relationship. Okay, there's a 30-second warning. Okay, share your art piece with your neighbor. Give about a minute. No, don't give it to them. You got to tell them. Tell them about your art piece. Okay. Who would be brave enough to share their art piece with the group? Oh, the book winner should get to share, don't you think? All right, stand up so we can talk loud.
Okay, mine's a graph because I'm a math teacher and this is how my brain thinks. Okay, so this was circa 2017 when I was a real college kid. So this is how much money I owed my parents. So this is dip, a dip. And then I finally into adulthood, have a job, and you feel like you're rich for like 3 days. Then you pay all your bills, and you feel broke again. And then I get paid, and I feel rich for 3 days, and then I have my bills. And then I get paid, and then I have my bills. So mine's a never-ending up and down of, I feel like I have money, and then no, I really don't. And then,
That's a
I am right with you. Yes.
that's a great chart. Anybody else would like to share theirs? That's a great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. The first time I did that exercise, I must have been in a tough spot because literally I had 3 stick people. It was me, my wife, and my son, who must have been smaller at the time because he was like, I had him as like a little kid, but he's a grown man now. But it was all blue. And when I thought about money, it made me very sad. It seemed to me that it was, in fact, even on the part of the picture was a little ball and chain. And I found myself kind of looking in my stickmanness, looking to God to say, Lord, is this thing, can we get out of this? And my family looking to me and saying, hey, are we going to get out of this situation? And so, it's kind of funny. One of the things that we do as a ministry is we meet with families all the time, and we help families that are kind of working that paycheck to paycheck kind of cycle, developing a game plan. But what we find is that part of what we do is just numbers, and numbers are pretty easy. We can deduce pretty quickly. Oh yeah, you're not making enough, right? Or you got plenty, or you're overspending here or there, or whatever. But there's another part of money that connects to a different part of us, doesn't it? It connects to something deep within us. I was at a church one time, and I was giving an announcement about our ministry, and I was saying, there's all these things about money, and money is the number one cause of divorce. In America. Well, except for the speaker right after me got up, and he was like one of the leading family guys in the area. He goes, well, actually, the number one cause of divorce in marriage is the inability to resolve conflict. And then he was kind to me, and he said, and as Tim has so aptly said, money is one of the key things that people are fighting about. So I had lunch with a guy, and I said, hey, so tell me, why do you think it's such a big deal? And I would give anything to have hit and play or record, because for the next 30 minutes he began to talk about just how money has so many connections to our heart. I grew up kind of a poor kid, and so money sometimes can be it reminds me of things. There's pain that it reminds me of. And so when I get short, I feel that struggle, and so we all have this relationship with money. I find it not coincidental that when Jesus was saying that you can't love God or something else, he picked money. There's something about the security of it or something that the Lord knew that it would be one of our top competitors, one of his top competitors for the heart of the people they love so much, okay? So when we talk tonight, we're going to be talking very practically, but at the same time, I want us to connect with the reality that money it causes pain, it causes joy. I mean, you name an emotion, and it can be associated with it. Okay, so let's do a quick review here. So we talked about several of these things last time. We're going to continue down this path of helping you think about this idea of being a generous steward. Last time we talked about what might it look like, what might it feel like if you were a generous person. What would be your generosity goals? And tonight we're going to be talking about sharpening your management skills. Okay, about how to manage your money better. Okay, and then last time we talked a lot about this idea of, does Christ have the right to rule in your money? As you remember, last week we talked about this idea is what is a generous steward? Okay, and you should have got a note-taking outlines too, so I hope you're welcome to fill in some of these blanks there. So a generous steward is someone who is generous towards the things of God. They are God-centered in their thinking related to finances. And the last one is they are well managed. We're going to break that down here this evening. So the question really, when you think about yourself, when you think about your family, people that you love, but particularly tonight we want to focus on your own self, would you say that you're well managed? So that's really kind of the gist of our time tonight. There's a book out that's kind of it's somewhat popular in the business context. Gallup did 100 million person survey, and it was a wellness survey. They were trying to figure out what is it that people are looking for, what is it that makes them feel like they're whole or happy or their well-being. And these were 5 key areas that the world, again, this is a worldwide survey that people are looking for. We want to have jobs that we like, okay? We like to see that what we're doing, it has meaning and it fits our skills. And so do we have career well-being? The next area that they mentioned is social well-being. What we're talking about there is that we just have significant relationships around us. That's one of the things that the church does a great job in, doesn't it? Is that we begin to build relationships with people who have the same types of values that we have. And so people who don't have friends, they feel out of whack in this area. The next area is in the area of physical well-being. And what we're talking about here is that, are you healthy enough? Do you have enough energy to pull off the things that you want to do? Okay, so people want to be, you say, you ask folks sometimes, how you doing? Well, my health is good, or my health is bad. Usually that's one of the things that kind of factors in there. The next area is in the area of community well-being. And when we're talking about community well-being, what we're talking about is, do you like where you live? Okay? Do you enjoy where you live? Now, it's interesting, as they dug into the community one of the things that they found, there were 2 key elements that determined whether or not someone liked their community. One of them was volunteerism, meaning they were serving in their community. There's something that happens when you serve in your community, whether it be in your community of believers or in your actual area which you live in. And the other one was philanthropy. Are you actually giving money to your community? And people that are invested in their community, they like where they live. You could live in the worst place ever by other people's definitions, but if it's your place, It's kind of interesting. It's like when we got out of COVID, right? So I'm a guy that volunteers at my church. And so I always do. I always got something I'm doing. And so I got back, and I'd had a heart attack right after the COVID stuff ended. And so I was kind of sitting out a little bit, and we were kind of trickling back into church. And I was going to church, and I wasn't serving anywhere. And I'm not going, man, this is no fun at all. Just coming to church and going home. And so I teach 5-year-olds. So I'm a 5-year-old Sunday school teacher, okay? That's my theological top. We had 12 today, and man, they were, whew. But I love them. In fact, my favorites are 2s. 2-year-olds are my favorites. They're still crying. Mom leaves, and I'm pretty good at comforting and stuff like that. And so, but what I found pretty quickly was that after COVID, if I wasn't serving, church was boring. It was just, it just was. I needed to do something. And so I lasted a couple of weeks, and my wife is on the early childhood team. I was volunteering on the early childhood team before she started working on it. And so I said, all right, hey, listen, I'm back in. Where can I go? And my son goes, yeah, I knew you wouldn't last very long. So basically this idea of community well-being, and I think that's true in church. I think if you're serving, in fact, at our church, we have this phrase I love. We worship one, serve one. Worship one, serve one. And so the committed folks at our church are worshiping and serving. But that was what Gallup found, was that community well-being had to do with, are you serving and are you giving to your community? And the last one is financial well-being, and that's really kind of dovetails with what we're talking about here. Now, I find it interesting in their list, they didn't have spiritual well-being. And the fact that it was so broad, we do know that people are habitually religious. I mean, wherever you go, people are serving something. I've been to a lot of different countries and stuff like that. But anyway, the world is looking for wellness, and we are too. Now, when we start talking about finances, practically speaking, okay, for some of you who may not feel like this is an area of your strength, okay, I'm telling you, there's only 5 key areas. You do well in these 5 key areas, and you will be successful in your finances, okay? Now, this is not rocket science. This is not high finance. This is low finance. This is the knife, the fork, and the spoon of personal finances. And so the first area is in the area of, do you have a spending plan? Now, spending plan, budget, interchangeable concepts. Basically, we're saying, do you have a plan for where your money is going? Now, we would add to that a working spending plan or a working budget has attached to it the ability to track where the money is going. In fact, I'll say this. You can tune me out from here on out, but if you only do one thing that we suggest in the area of personal finance, it's this. Become a master tracker. See, I could put together a budget for you right now, right? And you might have lost it within a month. 6 months, you can't find it. But if you'll become a master tracker and you can tell me, what did you spend at the grocery store last month? How much did you spend on clothes in the last 6 months? If you can become that kind of person, what happens is it informs your decisions, and you can begin to really make progress. So do you have a plan to spend the money that God's given to you? The next area is, do you have a giving plan or a generosity plan, okay? Now, we talked a lot about this last time, but let me talk practically about finances here for a second. Generosity. When in church, we talk a lot about evangelism, right? sharing the gospel, building relationships with people, sharing the gospel. Here's my definition of evangelism. We build a friendship with someone, and then the gospel crosses our lips. Now, I'm a friendship guy. I love friendship evangelism, stuff like that. But the thing is, my friendship is not going to save anybody. It's the gospel that has the power of salvation, right? And so if we're going to be an evangelist, if we're going to be a Great Commission believer, then the gospel has got to cross our lips. And if the gospel hasn't crossed your lips lately, or my lips lately, then maybe we need to figure out, why is that? Do I not have any non-Christian friends? Do I not know how to share the gospel? And if that's your case, I guarantee you there's people around here that can train you in that, right? But when it comes to generosity, the same kind of idea. Generosity means there's real money coming out of your bank account and hitting the kingdom somewhere. Through the church. Remember last time we talked about widows and orphans and elderly parents and the local church and other Christians, the poor, missions, and even in your own personal ministry. These are types of things. Is there money to leave in your pocket? And here's the thing. If you're a master tracker, you'll be able to tell where it's going. Does that make sense? The next area is do you have a savings plan? Now, we're talking about savings here. We're talking about long-term savings, like retirement type savings, okay? We're talking about emergency type savings. Let's say you lost all income. Your family lost all income today. How long could you make it out of your savings account before you start tapping into your retirement account? And so that's what an emergency savings is. And real simple things. They say, how long can I last? Oh, about 45 minutes. You know, I had a buddy of mine one time who took a job, and he took the other job that wasn't a great job because he had no savings. And he and his wife said, you know what? And the job was not a good one. And so he took it, he languished in it for 3 years. And he and his wife decided they weren't going to let that happen again. So for the next 10 years, they started slowly but surely putting back. They were trying to get like a 6-month emergency fund so that if they lost their job like that again, that they would be able to do it. And they did. It took them 10 years, but that's what they did, just little by little. The next area, key areas, is in the area of debt elimination, okay? And so do you have a game plan to actually getting out of debt? Well, we're talking about personal loans, credit cards, school loans, whatever that might be. The last area is in the area of protections. And when we're talking about protections, we're talking about things like insurances. We're talking about estate plans. We're also talking about integrity. You know, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But, you know, it's interesting. We have clients come into us, and they're saying, you know, I really would love the Lord to bless my finances, yet they're not paying their taxes, or they're not declaring all of their income, or you just pick up that they're just cheating a little bit, you know, and so we say, you know, if you're cheating on your finances and asking the Lord to bless you, there's something incongruous about that, okay? So this area of protections is there. Now, and what we would do, so I'll say this. When we think about just the financial system of the world, everybody agrees with those 5. I don't care what you're in. Now, see, I don't sell any retirement products. I don't sell any insurances, so there's no pitch coming. I'm telling you, as a bystander of the financial industry, those things are important, okay? But we all agree on those things. Now, here's the thing that we would add to that. If you took those 5 areas that everybody agrees with, and then we bring those under the lordship of Christ, now what we got is we've got a generous steward. Okay, does that make sense? And to be real honest with you, like Luther and Spurgeon said last week, that for many Christians, that's the last area that we bring under the control of the Lord. And I'll say this, we see a lot of clients that come in and they're struggling, and you realize that what the real issue is, they've never submitted themselves to the Lord in this area. And we see a lot of, single women, widowed women, and sometimes they feel alone. And we say, the thing about stewardship that I love is that we have a partner in God who owns all things. I grew up in a single mom home, and so the thing that was kind of issue, my mom, who had kind of a faith renewal right after my folks' divorce, she would say, children, we're broke. And the Lord owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and we need for him to kill a couple head. Okay? And so, but God was her partner in that. Now, you don't have to be single or widowed or whatever. A couple can have the same thing, is that we can, as a couple under the lordship of Christ, sometimes our finances are a little overwhelming, and we're saying, God can be our partner. But we have to be able to listen to him. When I think about the lordship of Christ, it's the easy definition. Is the lordship of Christ is the idea of saying, Lord, I will do whatever you ask me to do. I'll sell that boat. I'll quit doing that thing. I'll tear up that card. I'll change houses. I'll do whatever you want me to do. But that's the last element. To be honest, I think it's the final frontier for many believers, is bringing ourselves. Okay, now we're going to try something here tonight. Y'all reminded me of a smart group, and so we'll find out here real quick. If I get a couple of guys up here to help me pass some of these things out here, that would be, here we go. Everybody gets one. I think I should have plenty. One start in front, one start in the back. Okay. Okay, now we've never tried this in a seminar, so this might be a bust. And if it's a bust, I apologize, but it might be the greatest thing we've ever done. So we'll find out here in about 10 minutes, okay? So what I'm passing out to you is what we call a spending plan. If you were to come into us and do some coaching with us, we would work up a spending plan that looks just like this, okay? Now, the first page, I'm going to kind of take you through it real quick. The first page is an income page, okay? If you look there, you've got, this is just the case study that we're looking at here. And here's the thing, what I want you to do, I want you to channel your inner financial coach, okay? For this exercise, you're the coach, all right? A family has come to you. It's a family of 4. He's 37, she's 34. They have kids 9 and 11. The front page talks about their income, all right? They get paid, Mr. Sample, as we call him. They get paid the same amount of money, though all of their benefits are coming out of his check. So you see there, he gets paid semi-monthly, $200 every time he gets paid. That's his gross. He's taking home about $1,100. All right. She gets paid the exact same amount, but she's taking home $1,800 because she doesn't have the same amount. Like his, he's got health insurance and dental and vision, a little bit of retirement stuff. He's got a fitness center, probably works at a Walmart kind of thing. At the bottom there in the yellow there, you can see they both make about $48,000. Okay, makes sense? Turn the page. Now on this page here, this is that we're taking a monthly look. So we've taken their expenses and their income, and we're looking at it from a monthly standpoint. So at the top left, you see they're bringing home about $5,800 a month. So that's how much money that they have to live on. Okay. Now, if you work down through there, there's different categories. There's expenses in their tithes and contributions and child care and housing and food and automobile. See all the broad categories? And so there's a line items in each of these things. Now the colors, don't let that throw you off. What the colors are, some things they're actually using cash for. Okay, like groceries, they're using the green. Meals out, they're using cash for that. Fun and entertainment, they're using cash for that. The pink is a category of setback savings. Remember I mentioned, well, actually, I don't think I actually mentioned it. There's the third category of savings is that there are things that are going to happen this year, but they don't happen every month. Okay, it's like they're going to go on vacation. Okay, so over there in the entertainment category on the right-hand side is vacation trips. They're saving about $200 a month because later in the year they're gonna go on vacation. Does that make sense? So what they're hoping that $2,400 that $200 a month will turn into $2,400, and they'll actually have enough money to go on. They're planning to go wherever they're going. Okay. If you look out in the housing category, you have house payment and rent. See that on the left-hand side there? There's a little B out beside it. The B stands for a monthly bill. Okay. So what you've got with these folks, so they're bringing home about 58, the first yellow on top left, and down the bottom right, they're negative 488. So they're coming to you because they're $500 behind every month. Okay? So you're the coach to help them out. Now, if you flip the page there for a second, this third page is their debt page. Okay? So looks like they both have some school loans. She's got about $10,000. He's got about $25,000. I guess she was smarter than him. But they've got a couple credit cards. They're paying pretty good interest rate on those, but one credit card is about $10,000. One credit card is about $17,000. Look at the yellow down the bottom of that debt sheet. They have $63,000 worth of debt. They're paying about $898 a month on credit cards, on debt stuff, okay? Now, that $898 is actually on this other page. All the way down at the bottom, there's a total debt worksheet, and that $898 is there, okay? So it's included in their deal. Now, before I turn you loose to channel your inner coach, let's look at this last page. Now, this last page is an interesting page. In fact, I think a lot of people come to us for coaching just to see this last page. They don't know it when they show up. But if you look at the top there, this is the one with all the yellow on it, okay? If you look at the top there, you have their gross income is about $8,000. They hold out taxes of about $1,176. They're given about $100 a month, which is 1.3% of their income, which is about what most people are doing. They subtract schooling and child care, and they see that big number 6164. That number there is their net spendable income. We're going to take that money and split it between the categories. Now, here's the last thing I'm going to tell you, then I'll let you start working on it. The center column here, you see where it says recommended maximum? Those are the percentages. So if you took the net spendable, that 6164, you multiply it times 30%. We're recommending 30% of their income go towards housing. The left-hand column here, like in this case here, 30% is recommended. They're actually spending 29.69. Does that make sense? Okay. So you can go, so all of those go down there. The only one that's the exception is savings. If you notice there it says recommended maximum except for savings. The 5% that's down there in savings is a recommended minimum. We want you putting aside a recommended minimum of 5%. Okay. So what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to get in groups of 2 or 3, and I'd like for you to talk through this exercise. What kind of advice would you give them? This is what I do every day. We fill out people's things, and then all of a sudden, we're trying to help solve them. Here's the thing. You're the coach. So everything is on limits. You may say, I think you're spending too much money over here. Or I don't think, for the family of 4, I don't think you're spending enough money there. Okay? Is anybody confused? Yeah. Yeah, so if you look at this number here on that second page, all of the stuff from housing goes over into that area. Okay? Yeah. So I'll give you a quick story about housing. So I had this guy in my office. He's about to have a nervous breakdown. He's gone to the bank, and the bank has told him, "Oh, you can borrow all this money." So he did. He borrowed all this money. He comes to my office, and he's got 3 kids out in the thing. His wife is sitting there, and he's about to go on his rampage that how men do from time to time. He's going down, and she looks at me. She goes, "Oh, you got to help me." I mean, with her eyes, And so they're at 42%. Recommended 30. And so he kept going. Well, the guy at the bank told me I could. The guy at the bank said, and finally she leaves. She physically leaves because she's heard this before. And I say, listen here, buddy. Let me tell you why you're in my office. I don't care what the guy at the bank says. You're at 42%. It's too much. You got too much house for your income. The reason why you're sitting in that thing right there is because you got too much house. He didn't like it, but never saw him again. He needed someone to tell him how he got in his predicament because he had been so conscientious in trying to make the right decision. And so, here's what we find. Every one of these line items tell a story. They really do. I mean, I could probably tell you a story on every line item. I can tell you about the wife and the husband that fight over the grocery, or the ones because they don't have enough in the groceries, or the one they're fighting over the clothesline because they got too much in the clothesline. All right, so here's what you do. So go in there, get your partners. We're going to be floating around. T's going to be floating. I'll be floating. If you have any questions, flag us now. I'm going to give you a little bit of time here. Try to solve this family's problem. Okay? Flag us down if you need us. Yeah, you can definitely save. Yeah, you can definitely hit that. You can hit that real quick.
More income to do that or cut back.
That's exactly right. So you can definitely cut some stuff. Look at some of the other line items. Like, are they underspending or overspending in any area? Circle any area that you kind of go. Like for example, this one here. See, one applicant comes in and say they're not giving me enough.
Yeah.
So the very first thing I would do is I'd just say, hey, you need to start giving more. So even if they cut to get there, now all of a sudden you got that. The question.
Surrender more to the Lord if you have the money.
Well, exactly. That's the question. The question is how they're gonna get out of debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Yeah. Giving more right there. They might be giving too much retirement too. Because
Y'all keep working. Here's the thing though, cutting expenses is easy. Cutting expenses is easy. I mean, we decide, well, they cut these 3 things and they're there. The question is, there's some areas that they're underspending. Like for example, what do you think about their giving? You feel good about their giving? And they come to you, and one of their goals is like, we really would like to begin to give at least 10% of our income. So they want to be more generous. So now, so how are you going to solve that? And they say, we really got to get out of debt. They want to be cheerful. Is that enough money to feed this family? $500 at the grocery store for 4? So she says, hey, ladies, how much do you need to feed a family of 4 at the grocery store? Do you need more than 500?
I do it every 2 weeks, and I probably spend about $400 after
Oh, that's really good.
I can make a chicken go a long way.
The average that we see is about anywhere from $150 per person per month to $200 per person per month before inflation. Now it's probably more like $250-ish. So a family of 4 needs $800. They got $500. That's one of the places she's feeling pressure in. Can you clothe a family of 4 for $100 a month? That's $1,200 a year. Is that enough? What? Yeah, well, see, now clothes is one of those setback accounts, okay? So what you got is like most people buy. So like what they would be doing is setting back $100 every month. They give them $1,200 for the year, which will give them what's 12 divided by 4 is $300 a piece. 9-year-olds and 11-year-old who's changing shoes every 6 months.
If they're playing sports, you're going to spend that much in
We're very blessed though, because we get a lot of hand-me-downs.
Shoes and clothes, plus they're getting at 9 and 11 stage, but now they're starting to try to be pretty.
No,
I just think they're girls and boys. So that's probably not enough, right? Here's what we find. There's boys, if you don't care about clothes at all, boys will spend about $300 a year. Girls will spend $500-600. It looks like 2 cars. They got 2 car payments, and one of them is pretty expensive. Ooh, did y'all hear that? Average new car is $700 a month. That's why I'm driving my old truck till it dies. Yeah, it's a monthly bill, yeah. So who's going to make them get rid of the alcohol? Oh, see, all church people say,
$100 to save.
what? Now, what if they were gambling? Would you make them get rid of the gambling? I had a client one time who said, well, here's what I told the guy. I said, listen, I don't care how you spend your money. I said, but if you're going to gamble, we need for you to win. We got cash flow problems around here, so we don't need an expense. He quit gambling. When he saw it as an expense, he quit gambling. It was pretty funny. Okay. So any big observations for you? So who would help them cut expenses? Okay, so everybody, we have some things there that you'd help them cut. What are some other broad categories, or what would you do? Would you who would add? Would you get them to add any money anywhere? Okay, so you would try to encourage them to give some more. Well, I say this. Sometimes when I see this situation, I turn to them. I say, "All right, I'm gonna give you some advice that no other financial guy in town will give you." It says, "If you will give, if you will sow into the kingdom, the Lord in Malachi, it's one place He says, test me in this and see if I won't bless you." And they gotta go, "Oh, I don't know if I can do that." Because here's what I find a lot about what they need is about what they need to give. It's a really weird. It's one of the biggest tests of faith that we see. I mean, this one guy come to me. He says, "Man, I don't know if Tim, if I can do that."
$100 towards alcohol, you can put that towards fighting.
This guy wasn't drinking. He wasn't drinking. But this guy says, "I'll try. We'll try." And so they started giving. They started trying to give. Well, next time I saw him, he goes, "Hey," I said, "How things going?" He goes, "Oh, great. Hey, I got this new vending machine business. I've been trying to get in this vending machine thing forever." And I said, "Well, how much are you making now?" And it was the exact amount of money that he was choking on giving the time before. So he had given in faith, and the Lord had actually increased his income the exact same amount. Now, I'm not saying that he always does that, but he does that a lot. Anything else that you would do?
You need to get rid of the housekeeper. Like, come on, clean your own house.
Clean your own house.
Like, if you're spending $500 a month on groceries,
You quit eating out.
yeah, like,
Oh,
come on, bro.
okay. Okay, good. Anything else?
Also, $200 for fun and. But like even like the fun and entertainment, you know, they're spending $200 a month on fun and entertainment. Like, just stop. Like, you can go without for a while.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I mean, like we do fun stuff. We go to church every Sunday.
See, did you hear that? She goes to church. That's a good church when they say coming to church is fun. Here's the thing. Unlike the government, the family, there's only a possibility. We increase income, manage expenses, or decrease expenses, okay? And that's just the way it works. And so, it's funny. Sometimes what we do, here's one of the things we see a lot with folks is they've gotten this rut that that's the best they can do, and they haven't thought outside the box in a long, long time. So one thing we do is say, let's dream into your budget. Let's dream into it. Where do you want to go? Oh, I'd really love to do this or that. Okay. And then I like running a deficit because then, see, one thing let's say they love this life. You sense, then what we can say is you're only $500 away from your dream life. Now, whether this is your dream life or not, it doesn't matter. But if this was their dream life, they only need to generate another $500 to get there. Okay? And so, yeah. So here's what I'm saying is that if you noticed as you're thinking about being a coach, all of the items fit together, don't they? Well, I got this expense over there. If I cut this, then I might need to increase there, and this one seems out of whack, and so maybe I'll do. And so that is, in my opinion, the essence of this whole thing. Okay. All right. Hey, that wasn't so bad, was it? Okay, good. Let's. We're gonna boogie here a little bit. We got to get out of here in like 6 minutes, I think. 4 minutes. Okay, you have to go really fast. So the question then becomes, are you well managed? Okay, and these are again just kind of review in a little different way. Do you have a budget? Are you working it? Are you giving like you want to? Are you saving like you want to? Are you managing debt well? Now, I break out the last two, insurances and estate plan. That's the protections one. That's just another way to say those same things. Do you have the right protections in place? Like, for example, for some of y'all with minor children, do we have a will? I'm just telling you, you don't want the state of Arkansas telling your kids where to go. Okay? So if you don't have one, we need to get that top of the list right now. Sometimes I joke to my clients, say, if you don't have a will with minor children, then I need for you guys to drive separately until you get one. Okay? And they kind of laugh at me, and I go, no, I'm serious. Because we can only afford for one of you to die at a time. Okay? So do you have a good estate plan, even if you're young? Okay. One of the things that we're going to dip our toe in it. We're not going to spend as much time as we could. We could do a message on every one of these, but we're not going to. But I do want, here's what I want to challenge you as a Christian. I would like to challenge you to have a biblical theology of money. The question is, what is it that the Bible says about money? In fact, on our website, I had a client one time come in, and I made one of these comments. I said, the Bible talks about money more than this or that, whatever. And then they left, and I thought, but Harrington, you don't know where any of those verses are. So I spent the next year working through the Proverbs, working through the New Testament, identifying every verse that either was connected to money or used money as an illustration or money touched, like the family. And so on our website, Freedom 51, in the material section, there's Bible study. There's a Proverbs study, there's a gospel study, and then it's literally just verses. I mean, it's not super fancy. It's just literally the verses. But I wanted, before we leave, I didn't want to leave here and just talk about the practicals. Let's talk just some Proverbs about spending plan. The plans of the diligent lead surely to advantage, but everyone who is hasty comes surely to poverty. So here we find that we make plans in everything. Plans and finances is another area to plan in. Giving, honor the Lord from your wealth and from the first of all your produce. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine. There is, like we talked last week, there is a sowing and reaping kind of deal. This says if we will honor the Lord. Now I find that phrase really interesting. That when we give, we are honoring Him. I like this thought. Is that the Lord blesses our families, and part of it's to take care of our family, and part of it's to take care of His family. Okay? I'll let you work out the details about how much of the money He gives you get to keep. But some of it needs to be leaving your pocket and impacting His family. Proverbs 21 in savings, there's precious treasure in oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man swallows it up. This is one of our biggest issues as a culture. We're consumptive in nature. We just consume everything. But see, the wise person, they have stores of treasure, and there's oil that's stocked. They've got, when the rainy day comes, they've got stuff for the rainy day. Boy, do we know about this. When the rich rules over the poor and the borrower becomes the lender's slave. Don't believe me? Don't pay your credit card bill, and you'll know why they call you Chase. That's the name of the bank, because they will come after you. Well, Mr. Hamilton, you're 2 days late. Well, I paid for like 900 years. Yeah, but you're 2 days late because the borrower has become the lender's slave. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. I can't tell you how many clients come to me. They have this big debt, their health insurance. They have the right health insurance. And so they've got all of this stuff because they didn't see danger. They pretended like they were never going to get sick, or they were never going to have a car wreck, or whatever it else might be. Estate planning. Good man leaves inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. I don't know if you have an estate plan. Again, it doesn't have to be. I'm not a lawyer, okay? I'm not a lawyer. Everybody says Tim's not a lawyer, right? So I'm not giving you any legal advice, right? I'm not giving you any legal advice, right? But in the state of Arkansas, you can still do handwritten wills. So if you can't afford the money that it takes to go get a lawyer and stuff like that, you can still put together. You can Google it. You can look it up. We talked to Circuit Judge in Arkansas. you can do handwritten stuff. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not your legal advice, but I'm saying don't not protect your family. Don't let your children. My mom died intestate, which means she didn't have a will. My dad died intestate. My wife's parents died. They had wills of trust, but they had not been updated. It was very confusing. It's very confusing. And so anyway, so if you're planning on dying, which we all are, right? Make it easier for the people who you're leaving behind. Okay, that's all I'm going to say there. I'll shut up. Last thing, better is the poor who walks in integrity than he who is crooked, though he be rich. I'll tell you a quick story. There's this guy goes to this Christian school, right? He's been going all 4 years. His senior year, he kind of big man on campus kind of guy. Walks in the president's office, and he's got rolls of quarters. And he's visibly distraught. And so he throws all these quarters to the president's office, and the president goes, well, Billy, or whatever his name was, what's the matter? He says, well, I need to confess. The teacher's lounge down there? You can get a donut, but it's an honor system for 25 cents a donut. He says, I've been stealing donuts since I was a freshman. And the Lord finally convicted me of stealing those donuts. So this is the best I get. This is how many donuts I stole. And so I love that story because it says, is a donut worth the price of your integrity? Like we do expenses as a ministry and stuff. We have this rule: when in doubt, throw it out. I got this thing. Is that personal? Is that ministry? Whatever. I'm not really quite sure. When in doubt, we throw it out. Better to have a little bit of integrity than to get up. All right, so we're completely out of time. But I would be remiss if I didn't. Do you have any questions? Jimmy, do you have any questions for us as a whole? No? Okay, I'll let you do your comments here. Hey, quick question here. So I want you to think just for a second, what are your takeaways? This isn't for public consumption. Just your takeaway. We've talked about this generous steward. We've talked about being God-centered. We've talked about being well-managed. Just you personally, is there anything that maybe the Lord has brought to your attention that you're thinking, I think I want to address that? It's a new year, 2024, right? Is there something in the area of finance that you say, no, we're going to do better this year? We've got 3 ideas for you, 3 potential takeaways for you. One, I really would love to see you spend some time asking the Lord, am I a generous steward? With people of faith, sometimes when we do their budget, if I sense that people have a spiritual mindset, I say, I want you to take your new budget and I want you to go have a quiet time with that. Before the Lord, just lay it out there before. Lord, is there any one of these areas? Lord, should I be spending $100 on alcohol a month? Lord, should I be giving more? Should I whatever? But asking yourself the question, Lord, is there any of these areas that I should consider? The next one, you don't have to read our book. We do have some books back here. We just released a book. You're welcome to get one. They're pretty cheap. But if you don't read our book, read some book. Grow in this area of generosity. This is, I think, one of the most significant issues facing the church today. It's just crazy. It's crazy how underfunded missionaries are and how underfunded churches are and stuff like that. And you may be an answer to that thing. So this is one idea there. And the last idea is get a coach, okay? Now, do y'all realize Tiger Woods is a pretty good golfer? I know he's not anymore. He probably still whoop us all left-handed with a bad back, right? But even in his prime, he had a coach. He had a fresh set of eyes. Our ministry, we exist to help Christian families get better in this area. Now, here's the thing. We may not be the best. Like when I took this job, I told Chris, doing budgets all day, I can't imagine a worse job. I like people, though. So, but the thing about it is that the money keeps people from reaching their goals. So what we can do, and again, it may not be us. You may not want us. You may not like us, and that's okay. You won't be the only ones. But get somebody, get an older, mature person, give you some fresh eyes to help you meet your goal, provide some accountability. Now, for us, we do a year's worth of coaching for $250 for the entire year. Now, here the going rate at this field is $250 a session. And so it's about $1,500 is about what it costs to go through a year's worth of coaching. What we're going to do, we are missionaries and we raise money so that we can make this affordable for families. It's $250 for the entire year. We've never turned a family away yet because they couldn't afford it. I have scholarships available. I think the church is planning to kick in half for the first 10 families that want to sign up. And so I'm just telling you, this, I don't say this to say we're tooting our own horns or anything, but this doesn't exist all over the place. It just, I mean, and if it does, I'd love to know where it is. We don't see it, so we believe that God is raised up, and we'd love to help you if we can. So, if we can help, holler at us. All right, Jimmy, come on up here.
Thank you. Yeah, let's give him a hand. Yeah. Yeah, let me just reiterate. So the church will cover $125 of the $250 cost for the first 10 families that want to or need to go and get this type of coaching. And I'm going to say this. I don't know if this is proper or not, but as we move forward as a church, the idea is that we're going to continue to see people come to Christ. We're going to see more people move into the area that may already be Christians, and they want to come and be a part of our church, and we want to continue to do all the things that we talked about yesterday in terms of our missions conference. We want to continue to serve our community in all the ways that we have in these past few years, and you know, the bottom line is those things cost money, okay? And so as we've seen slowly, and I'm just going to say this as a testimony, and I shared, I don't know what meeting I shared this in, but last year when we had our budget for 2023 put together, now at the beginning of the year, we were all asked to go back on all of our ministry teams and cut, okay? So we made hard choices, we made hard decisions. It was difficult. It was like, but this is important, and everybody's got their cause, and they've got, you know, the thing that they want to do and all that kind of thing. But we did that, and even then we probably had the largest budget that the church has seen in, I don't know, maybe ever. I probably ever, okay? And yeah, ever. The Bible say ever. And I'll be honest, in some of our budget and finance committee meetings, you know, we were like, folks, listen to me. God was so faithful to provide, and to the point which this year when we got into the budget phase of things, it was like, you know what? We're still probably stretching it, but God's going to provide. God's going to provide. Now, we need to be good stewards, and we need to make sure that we're doing the things that God wants us to do. But over the years, what the expectation is, the bigger, we might get, the more money it's going to take to do the things that we need to do and all that kind of thing. This has been on my heart, like I said, for years to do something like this, because the healthier you are financially, individually, and as families, the more generous and healthy we can be as a church. Okay? So I'm not going to say there's an ulterior motive for having this, but it's just a natural progression as we move forward. Okay? So I want to say a couple things, okay? And because I'm the mean banker that Tim was talking about, okay? So a couple points if you can write these down, do. Some of you have some insurances, accidental death and dismemberment insurance policies and things like that. And they may come with your checking account at the bank. They may come through your work. They may come through. Folks, make sure somebody else in your family knows where that stuff is, okay? Because if they don't know that you have this and you die in a car wreck on the way to work or whatever, you're not going to get the benefit from it. No one's going to know how to file it, okay? Good friend of mine just recently lost his dad in a car wreck, almost lost his mom, and in the process of me going through the helping them look through things, I realized that they had the type of checking account that comes with an accidental death and dismemberment insurance policy. Filed a claim, $10,000. Boom, okay? It's a little bit of effort, but it goes a long ways, okay? But if they don't know that you have it, you'll never receive the benefit from it. If you put it in a safe deposit box, make sure somebody knows it's in a safe deposit box and they have access to that safe deposit box, which takes some work. It takes some effort. Probably means that you're going to have to put them on your entry card for your safe deposit box and let them know where the key is. You probably only have one, okay? Make sure they know how to get access to that key. All right? Very important. I'm telling you stuff that I see this stuff every day. I have people come in, say my parent died or whatever, they had a safe deposit box here, and I need to get the stuff out. I'm sorry, you're not on the card. I can't help you until you go to probate, you get a judge to sign letters of testamentary naming you the executor of that estate, and when you bring me those documents, I can let you have access to it. But that's going to take time, folks, and it's going to take money, okay? So that life insurance policy that's in the safe deposit box is no good to you until you get access to it, all right? Very important. Beneficiaries on your accounts. Make sure you have beneficiaries on your account. A payable on death, okay, on your account. They don't have to sign anything. They don't really even have to know at the time that you do it, okay? And I say that because, you know how much they love you, all right? So put a beneficiary on your accounts. We have, I don't know how many millions of dollars every year as a bank gets turned over to the state of Arkansas because someone died and no one knows who's supposed to have access to that money, okay? So same thing with safe deposit boxes. You can't have PODs on them, but you can have another entry. After non-payment, we drill the boxes, we inventory it, we keep that stuff for 7 years. If no one claims it in 7 years, it goes to the state of Arkansas, okay? So beneficiaries, those kind of things. And estate planning. You can still do written living wills. All wills are going to go to probate. If you have the means and the ability to get a trust, I recommend a trust. Okay? Trusts don't have to go through probate. You put successor trustees on your trust, and they're the ones that manage the estate going forward at that point. Okay? These guys have the knowledge. There are many other ways that you can get knowledge. And then when it comes to finances, knowledge is power. Okay? Don't go off of what maybe you grew up with or learned from, grandma and grandpa or all that. Go research and what it looks like to be healthy today. Don't go by necessarily what the mean old banker tells you, okay? And I'm case in point. The mortgage companies, secondary market mortgage companies, these are mortgages that are they're funded by government agencies like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, FHA, all these different places, okay? Their debt to income limit to qualify for a secondary market mortgage is like 60%. You can have a debt to income ratio of up to 60% and still qualify for a mortgage, okay? That is the amount of debt that you have versus how much money you make, your income, okay? If you look on the back page of what we just handed out, you don't have to, but when you look on there, the recommendation is about 48% debt to income ratio. The scenario we were given, that person was about 63% debt to income, which is the reason that they were short the $500, $600, whatever the amount that they needed to do things, okay? So there is a recommended debt to income ratio. I understand we all have to have cars to drive, we have to have houses to live in, those kinds of things, but just understand that there's a ceiling, okay? There's a ceiling. When Michelle and I, 25 years ago, decided we're going to go buy a house, wasn't that long ago, and my mortgage guy said, here's the price range of a house that you can start looking for. I asked the question. Many people didn't ask this question, and as a result, we had 2008 and 2009 happen. What's the payment on that? If I go look for a house in this price range, what does that payment look like? And he told me. And I said, oh no, I can't look for a house in that price range because I'm not paying that much money on a house payment. So we went and we looked and we found a house for about half that price. Okay? Knowledge is power. Be smarter than the banker. Okay? Don't just go off of what they tell you you can do. Very, very important. All right? That was it. All right. That's my 2 cents.
Hey, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I want you to know is that sometimes when people are here to saying, okay, I don't know that I want to go see those guys because then everybody will think we're not doing very well, okay? And I want you to know that as I think about our clients, we have kind of 3 types of clients. We do have people who are in trouble. And so they're like this family here. They're in trouble and they're hurting. And so they need someone. So we do a lot of triage. And there's a lot of crying and stuff like that. And so that happens. So you may be in a situation where you're really struggling. and we can help you. But then we have a whole nother class of folks who are healthy. They make plenty of money, but they're not crazy about their current system, okay? And so we call these people healthy, and they haven't had anybody look at their personal finances, and so they have some goals they want to accomplish, and they would love to just kind of look at that and say, can I see my stuff in your sheet? And so we help a lot of folks like that, just that are healthy. And the last area is what we would call the hungry. Our fastest growing demographic are young professionals who are getting started with young families, and we're able to help them put together a game plan that they work on together. It's like, for example, my son's about to get married, 22, about to get married, and he and his fiance are meeting with T to work through their finances. They're kind of working through that stuff. So what I'm saying is that whether you're hurting or you're healthy, or you say, you know what, I'd just love to get a little sharper, we're hungry to learn more, we help all kinds of folks. It's a good thing to come see us.
Yep, good stuff. All right, thank you guys. Really appreciate Freedom 51 Ministries and their willingness to come and present this information to us. They are available, take a picture of that, whatever you need to do. Get educated. If you need to and have a desire to purchase one of those books or just get into any book, as Tim mentioned, that give you a little more education about things like this, then for sure make sure and do that, okay? All right, thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you, and thank you for being here. This, when I'm supposed to... Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to have snacks over there in the other building. So be sure and stick around for that. Please stick around. We've got snacks, okay? And we don't want them just to go for nothing. Yeah. So please stick around for that. We'll pray and be dismissed. All right. Y'all have a great week in the Lord this week. And again, if we can help you, reach out to us. All right. Father, thank you for the time together. And we thank you, Lord, that we've had this time last week and both tonight. Lord, just to draw close to you and the way of finances. And we definitely want to be healthy, and we want to be generous. And more than anything, we want to just fall under the leadership of the Holy Spirit when it comes to what we do with the money that you allow us to have. And so may the Lordship be over us in this area as we move forward. And because of that, it makes us healthy. It makes us closer to you. It helps us be more healthy as a church and as a community and all the things that surround that. So guide and direct, and we love you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.